The Sports Time Podcast.
I'm pleased to be joined by Kyle Hoffman, a returning guest of the Pickle Podcast, as well as Kyle Jaycox, one of his writers. How's it going, guys?
Good, man. Good to be here.
Thanks for having me.
Yep, of course. There's a big fight this weekend, UFC 261, kamara Usman versus Jorge. UFC 261, the first matchup, we have Anthony Smith versus Jim Crute. Who do you guys like, and how many rounds do you think it lasts?
Not much to say here. We've seen enough of Anthony Smith at this point to know that he's going to take care of Anthony Crute in an easy fashion. We haven't seen much from him, and there's a reason for it, right? So put your money on Anthony Smith. He's got the experience. He's going to go in there and win this fight tonight.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, the guy's name is Lionheart for a reason. Saturday, I feel like that Jim is just going to be kind of just out of his own league. And I will probably say by second round, Smith puts him away.
I definitely think it's going to be entertaining. Of course, Anthony Smith has been in the UFC for a while. We'll see what ends up happening, but I'll probably put my money on Anthony Smith as well. All right, so the next matchup, we got Chris Weidman versus Uriah Hall. I think Uriah Hall is the betting favorite. Who do you guys like winning that matchup?
I like Uriah Hall as well. I think his striking is going to take care of Chris Weidman. Chris Weidman's chin's been tested in the past, and it hasn't ended up too well for him. He's going to try to get the takedowns. Uriah Hall has very good takedown defense and is a killer on the inside, so I don't see it lasting past 2 rounds.
Yeah, I agree. I think, the last guy Chris Weidman knocked out was Silva, and Silva was goofing around in there, so I have to go with Uriah Hall myself.
This is actually a championship bout. It's pretty crazy that this card has 3 championship bouts. Let's start off with the first of the 3 is Valentina Chasenko versus Jessica Andraz. Right. Who do you guys got? And do you think it's a quick knockout for Chasenko?
I don't think Chasenko is going to be able to take care of it early. However, I do that she's going to overpower. Chasenko's going to overpower her at some point. I know that the experience is there, and Chasenko is more of a well-rounded fighter than people think she is. And I don't know why they think that, because she's knocked people out with head kicks. She's knocked them out with elbows. She's submitted people. Such a more well-rounded fighter. I don't think that her opponent's going to be ready for Chasenko in this fight. And she looks the best that I've seen her in a long time. If you watch the embeddeds this week, she really looks like she's in shape and ready to go.
Yeah, I agree. Chasenko. I think that if she doesn't get the knockout by round 2, that it'll go to decision. Where I feel like she's just going to put an overall clinic on Andraz.
I'm kind of really shocked that Chasenko didn't get a chance to fight Nunes. Now she's going to find Juliana Pena, but I'm kind of shocked that she didn't get that main bout. I think DC was even talking about after one of the fights that he thought Chasenko would fight Nunes next. Why do you think that fight didn't happen? And do you think they'll ever actually fight against each other?
I think Dana White possibly has that fight in mind for the future. However, I think the way Dana White markets, he's probably trying to market these fighters and make money off them individually rather than face them against each other and ruin each other's stock. So the 2 most talented women in fighting today, that fight's only going to happen once every so often. So Dana White's probably saving that one for a huge card. Like I said, he's going to market those fighters individually and give them the best fights they can, and then hopefully we can see them fight each other soon.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's going to make his money individually off the fighters, and then after he's made enough individually, then just put it all on a pot for a bigger card with those 2, and definitely make that fight happen down the road.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for that because I do think Amanda Nunes isn't going to have much of a problem with Pena. I think Pena is a better fighter than people say, but again, at the same time, not many people can match up with Nunes, and she's just so dominant. All right, so our next fight is Jang Wei Lee versus Rose Namajunas. Who do you guys like in this fight, and why?
I like Jang Wei Lee. I think it's going to be too much power for Rose. Rose has great defense, great takedown defense, great striking on the inside. She moves well. However, Jang Wei Lee is going to pummel her the same fashion that she did her last opponent. I could see it going 3 rounds. I could see it ending in the 3rd round. I definitely have. I don't have Rose Namajunas winning this fight, unfortunately.
I got to agree with that assessment. The output that Jang Wei Lee had against Joanna, it was tremendous. You could clearly tell she damaged her. I mean, her head was freaking swollen. If she does not knock her out, I feel like it will definitely be unanimous decision, just with the output that she's going to have in the fight.
Great.
If Jang Wei Lee gets the win here, who would be her next fight? And it seems like she's pretty much dominated her division. Do you think there's anybody that can beat her? Or who do you think would be the best matchup for her?
Well, there was talk at the presser earlier of a super fight between her and possibly Shevchenko. So I would have to go with that.
Same here. Yeah, that's the fight I would like to see. And if they don't make that fight soon, I'm not sure if it'll happen. So let's hope that fight happens. I honestly think Shevchenko could fight anyone in the top 10, and it'd be a great fight. So we'll see.
All right, let's get to the main bout. Jorge Masvidal taking on Kamara Usman. Do you think there's it seems like Kamara Usman is the heavy favorite to win this. Could you see Jorge Masvidal taking him here in this fight?
I get certain feelings when it comes to these type of fights where there's a lot of tension, right? And I had a chance to watch the press conference today, and I sense a little bit of nervousness from Kamara Usman. However, I do think that Jorge Masvidal is not 100% confident as well. Even though he's had a full camp, I do think that Kamara Usman is going to come out on top in this fight. That's not saying that Jorge Masvidal won't put on a spectacular display. Jorge Masvidal, given a full camp, is going to be a much better chance. Is going to have a much better chance to do special things against Kamara Usman. Kamara Usman does have that long jab that's very dangerous and is very good at getting the takedowns and putting people up against the fence. Jorge Masvidal is going to have a game plan for this fight. It's going to be much different from the last game plan he's had against Usman. He specifically mentioned stopping the foot stomping in this fight and the foot shuffling and completely shutting that out of Kamara Usman's game. So we'll see how that affects this fight.
I'm going to be honest, going initially, I have Usman. After watching the press conference, I feel like maybe that Masvidal might have sold me on the fact that he could pull the W out if he actually does. If they train for everything and putting in all the counters against Usman, I feel like he could win it on his feet. Usman does have an impressive jab that he demonstrated against Burns. But I feel like overall the better striker in this fight is going to be Masvidal. And I think that with having more of a camp behind him in this round, he's going to have the better cardio and conditioning to keep the fight up on the feet for a little bit longer and possibly get the KO by 2nd round.
Now, one thing I will mention, considering that, is that, JJ, you know that this fight is going to be the first UFC event of the year with a crowd in the arena. So everyone's super pumped, but one thing that means is that Jorge Masvidal is going to have the crowd on his side. If anyone got a chance to watch the press conference today, it was insane. There was booing on Usman's side to a maximum degree, and Jorge Masvidal had a lot of supporters in the building. A lot of his Latino supporters are in town. He's in his home state of Florida, and he's gonna put in work on Saturday night. So expect a good fight. Expect a different fight than how it was last time. Expect an exciting fight. Kamara Usman's not going to be able to do exactly what he did last time, and it's going to make for some fireworks.
Yeah, the last time they fought, I think, was last July at UFC 250. I want to say UFC 251. And that was pretty epic, but I felt like, Kamara Usman really did, really annoy. Now the fight went the distance, if I can remember right. But I think Masvidal didn't have much time because it was originally supposed to be him and Gilbert Burns. And I felt like Jorge Masvidal, if he would have got a full fight, he would have had a chance to beat him. Could you see Kamara Usman getting a knockout here?
It's possible. He's done it before. He knocked down He knocked down the famous guy that used to call Marty fake snoozeman, Colby Covington. He knocked him down with the jab and almost knocked him out. So yeah, Kamaru Usman has knockout power. It's a real thing. So Jorge Masvidal knows this, and he's not going to say it, but he's going to be trying to avoid that jab on the inside because he very well could get knocked out by Kamaru Usman. We haven't seen Masvidal take a real solid shot on the chin other than when he fought Till or when he fought, I believe he fought Lawler. Did he? Yeah. And so if he gets hit by Usman in a good spot, you know, it could be lights out, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I'd have to say, you know, it's just like in any fight, the, you know, puncher's chance. It could happen with Usman knocking out Masvidal as well. And I definitely feel like he does have the power to do that. So Jorge should have that in mind as well. And his camp, I'm sure they have those measures in place to avoid something like that happening.
So, again, you guys, I'm assuming you guys have Kamaru Usman winning this fight. I think currently I have Usman winning this. Do you guys think there's a chance that if Masvidal does win, do you think he gets possibly the knockout?
Yeah. Masvidal could very well knock out Usman. He could very well do it. If he can knock out Darren Till, he can knock out Usman.
Yeah.
All right. So now that, say, let's go off of UFC 261. It seems like John Jones is going to end up fighting Francis Ngannou sometime. When do you guys think it will happen? And is there a possible chance that they fight at UFC 265 when Amanda Nunes fights Juliana Pena?
I don't see Dana White putting that in the same card, just the way that he likes to do things. But I do know that there's talks about a fight in August coming up where they could fit that in. Dana White tends to put a lot of his big fights in the late summer in July and August. So I think that's a good time for them to bring John Bones Jones out of the cellar.
Yeah, I agree. I know that he's trying to make the Ngannou Lewis fight happen. Knowing just how the UFC works, there is a possibility that Lewis may end up falling out of that injury or whatever, and we could get the surprise fight that we all want instead of the Lewis Ngannou fight. Both would be equally exciting, in my opinion.
Right.
All right, as we wrap up the interview, and it's been great to talk. I love talking UFC with you guys. Can you tell us more about the Pickle Podcast? Now, you've explained it before, but this next upcoming episode, just kind of talk to us how it's going to work and, you know, what guests you're bringing on, stuff like that.
You guys have got to check out our new episode on the Pickle Podcast. We recently had a guest. His name is Alameen. He's actually from Des Moines, Iowa, and he was recently featured on one of the world's biggest podcasts. And he actually went viral for embarrassingly roasting somebody from the Chappelle Show, Donnell Rawlings. So if you guys want to go look that up on YouTube, Donnell Rawlings Freaks Out, you can find it. We have the guy that made him do it. So if you want to check that out, see someone who's going viral, who's been talked about by Joe Rogan, who's been talked about by Andrew Schultz, who's been talked about by Charlemagne the God in the last week. If you want to see something viral, come to the Pickle Podcast and check it out.
All right. Thanks, guys, for coming on. Don't forget to check out the Pickle Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, pretty much wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe and hit that bell for notifications if you get it on YouTube. All right. Thanks, guys, for joining. And I'm super excited for UFC 261. Hopefully it's a good matchup, and have a great night. Thanks for listening to the Sports Town Podcast, or the STP Pod for short. If you want to check out more videos of the Sports Town Podcast, click on the left. If you want to subscribe to the channel, click on the right.